Are you looking to improve your sales without resorting to pushy tactics? Welcome to Sales Made Easy, the podcast that helps you to achieve better sales results and gain long-lasting clients through relational selling. Let's get right into it. What is a good word? Today's topic is about handling objections. My least favorite phrase when it comes to selling. See, I think, people who are selling are the only ones, maybe attorneys in a trial, in a courtroom. Your Honor, I raised the objection. So there's that. But in sales, it's used all the time. And it's gotten to the point where we don't even think about what it means to handle an objection. So I'm going to give you the classic example. Your price is too high, or I'm shopping around, or I need to speak to my wife about this, or my husband, or my partner. You get the idea. So there's this great long list of these objections that we're supposed to overcome. The problem with that, if it's not clearly obvious, is that it becomes mechanical. And when you're in a situation as a buyer and you actually have a concern that this person's price is too high or is more than you want to pay, do you want that concern handled? You see, we don't want handling. We want understanding. We want empathy. So when we go in thinking that objections are going to be raised, or the selling doesn't begin until we hear our first objection, I think all that's nonsense. No offense to those who preach this stuff, but for me personally, on relationship selling, you cannot go in with a mindset that you're going to handle objections. You have to take care of the person. You have to serve the person. You have to empathize with the person. But handling the objections does not jive with any of that. So what do we do? Well, I'm going to give you an example. Because that's what I do. A person I was speaking to recently, I explained a situation which put me on guard, made me defensive. So when I speak to salespeople, I'm defensive because I've been burned more than once, and I'm sure you have as well. It's sort of like getting a connection request on LinkedIn, giving people a chance, and immediately getting the pitch. So that's a whole nother topic. But we become defensive when that stuff happens. So think of the last time you bought a car. Maybe it wasn't a great experience or something, and now you're defensive. So then you're explaining that to the seller. What do you want the seller to do? Do you want the seller to say, I know what you're talking about because that happened to me? Do you want to hear that? Because I don't. I don't want to hear the seller go, me too, because me too has just taken over my concern. So now that person may look at the concern as being burnt. They might look at it and say, well, I got over it, so you get over it. Or I know how you feel, and it took me a little while and I got over it. Well, they're different than me. So when we say, I got over it, or we're implying that you need to get over it, that's not showing understanding or empathy. So this is where we want to dig deeper, because now the person is, if we've told why we're on guard against being approached by salespeople, we want to dig more into that. So what happened? That sounds terrible. What happened? And now the person tells us. And now they give us a response. We don't go, well, I'm not that way, because that might be our tendency. the better thing to do is to dig deeper. Tell me more. So when you explained this, what else happened? Or how did you feel when you went through that? And now you have an understanding. The more you dig deeper, you have an understanding. And the thing to do at this point is not to try to sell. This is the mistake. Just because we've listened a little bit, now we see that the person is defensive. We try to help with that and understand and empathize, but it may be better to hold off what we're doing because the person might be sending us a signal like, don't try to sell me because I've been burned before. It's going to take a while to build up the trust. So that's just one example. So when we try to overcome the objection, we go into selling mode. So we're disregarding what the person's feelings are, what their experience was. We're not empathizing and we're not developing the relationship. The relationship sale may take several conversations over several weeks or months. But if we burn that bridge early because we feel like we can do it, we can just tell the person we're tough, we know how to overcome objections, it's a good chance we're burning the bridge. If you don't care about burning the bridge, that's just not relationship selling. That's the difference. So instead of overcoming objections, listen, empathize, ask better, or continue to ask questions, get to the bottom, understand where the person's coming from, try to feel what they're feeling, and then make a decision if you want to continue selling or maybe switch gears a little bit, take the pressure off, and save something for next time. The longer play often works in sales. Very few people do it because they want to be closing, they want to overcome objections, and they want the sale. Be patient, you'll have better outcomes. It's all about serving. I appreciate you and your support and looking forward to continue to serve you. Thanks for listening to Sales Made Easy. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe and share it with your friends. Also, you're invited to join the Facebook group Sales Training Selling with Dignity. Serve first, the selling will follow.